welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the episode. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with the entire series. You get 3 new interviews sent to you every single week, new and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones. You can grab us anywhere you get podcasts from, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course, right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. That's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, talking with comedian Martin Amini. He's got a special out called I'm Transcending. We're going to talk all about it and even hear a bit about his upcoming new one as well. We'll hear about growing up in the DC scene that he came up in, and what the rich history actually of that comedy scene. I want to talk about his crowd work and the art of getting two single people to kiss, two single people who have never met each other to kiss in front of a live audience. You'll hear all about that. He's in a big moment of success right now, so of course we're going to discuss that and dark humor. And we're actually going to start with some of his favorite 90s hip hop acts. All that and more. We're talking I'm Transcending. It's Kyle Meredith with Martin Amini.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I like your backdrop too. Are you doing it in a studio? Is this like your studio?
This is real. Yeah, this is my office studio. I have a home studio, and both of them are just dressed up with posters just to make the walls look not like walls. But
Yeah. No, it's a cool backdrop.
yeah, that's everybody back here is much cooler than I am, and that's on purpose. Let's just not try to we
Well,
don't
you
know
got
each other.
that's those are the coolest guys in the world. David Bowie and Prince. It doesn't get any cooler than that.
Doesn't get any cooler than that.
No.
I ask this every now and then, but if you had the posters, what would they be?
Right. That's a yeah, that's a it's crazy because I'm going through different phases right now, but I mean I grew up on 90s hip hop and Jay-Z is probably one of the more timeless artists that's like still relevant from when I was a kid to now. So I definitely have him up there. I like 90s rap is very nostalgic too. And then also like the Fugees played a big role in my music, just catalog. So I'd probably have like the Fugees, like the Score album cover, probably some Bone Thugs and Harmony. And then yeah, and then I try to mix it up. I probably have like different like genres too. You know, I'm a
Those are
90s baby, I think.
Yeah. I was
Thank
just
you.
listening to it was a mashup record back when people still did those. It was Jay-Z and Radiohead called Jadiohead that I
Yeah.
found a rip on vinyl at some point. I'm sure not sanctioned by anybody, but I think I just had that on last night actually, and that's seriously some good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Those smash-ups were like they had a moment. I remember the Linkin Park and Jay-Z smash-ups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that as much anymore. I don't know why, but
Like Girl Talk took it, I think, as far as somebody wanted to take it, and then everybody's like, "All right, that's it."
yeah.
Well, I am just rolling straight into this too. But you got this new special called I'm Transcending. That was really, really great and really, really funny. And this comes on the heels of things starting to blow up. I mean, you've been doing this, I think you said in the special, for a decade now, and
Yep.
the traction just starts picking up. I mean, it's different when you're in it because so much of it is work. But what is it like finally realizing a moment that's happening like this?
It's a good question because moments are very hard to come by. And I think when the moment is happening, the last thing you want is to lose the moment and not execute during that moment. And so that's what it feels like. It feels like when you play Super Mario and you get the star, that you remember that?
Right. Yeah.
And then you're like, and then you can just like you want to get as many, you just want to like do as much damage as you can with that when you got that star. You're like, and so that's what it feels like. I got the star right now, and I'm faster, I'm stronger. The following is every week it's exponentially growing, and I just want to make sure I just seize the moment and also enjoy it. And now it's an exciting time to be a comedian and an artist in this new landscape of social media, and sky's the limit, you know. So I'm ready to go. I mean, this tour, we just kicked it off. It's 40 cities, 3 continents, and yeah, this is the most exciting time of my career, easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And for that to be for M Transcending to be, I don't know if you look at it as your calling card, because that does having that set out there now put every bit of that set in the past.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That is my way of retiring jokes that I wrote in 2017, 18, while living at my parents' house, broke. And I'm going to be putting out another project within the next 2 weeks that's more up to date. But I just wanted to retire some of those classic bits, and in a nice theater, you know, where I feel like those jokes deserve to be in a theater. And then now we can move forward, and I'm actually so excited to be turning to the next chapter. You know, just like, I don't know what it's like for musicians, but it's like, as a comic doing the same jokes for years, it's hard, you know. And I've grown so much from that special and from those jokes, that it's like, I'm just happy to be moving forward, and I'm happy with the title of the special too, because that's the energy I want to put out. Uh, and yeah, I'm just like, I can't wait for my audience to see the next stuff that comes out. It's gonna be great.
I wonder if that's like double-edged blade a little bit, because once you become popular, as you say, it's like, oh, I can finally stop performing the same stuff. Like, but also now you're on the clock. Now it's,
Yes.
yeah, you don't get 5 years on a joke anymore. Like that just can't happen, right?
Not just, yeah, not just with all the eyes on you, but just the landscape. I mean, I'm I'm thank God I came up in the generation I did, where like we were forced to learn how to write a joke to succeed. But now this new generation does not, they don't have the time. I mean, these poor kids, they're watching guys like me put out crowd work clips or social media every day. And for these new generation to feel like they have a shot at this, because now you have to have an audience, you got to know how to do social media, you got to know, you have to be a video editor, a cinematographer. It's completely different from when I started. You got to be your own like publicist. It's like, uh but you know, I think yeah, like, the jokes, yeah, I have to turn out jokes faster because I'm on tour and people want to see the new stuff. So, you know, but these are all good problems to have. These are like, you know, like the rich dad, poor dad, like these are rich dad problems. You know, it's like I'm on the other side now. It's like, bro, these are, if these are my problems, life is good.
Right, right. When did you, like, hearing you talk about this and tracing back a little bit, like, do you find that there was a moment when you really felt like you found your voice? Because hearing you talk about cultures and how you see the world because of that, I mean, and so much of that I feel like is the portal that leads into everything else that you've talked about up until this point. Like, was there that moments in that past decade where you went, ah, aha, I've got it, this is me?
Yeah, I think once I started seeing, you know, I made my name in Washington D.C., my hometown, where I started comedy and the open mic circuit. Worked my way up to the top, where, you know, I was one of the local favorites. And once I started seeing people gravitate towards me and wanted to see my full hour instead of like a 10-minute set at a bar or somewhere where they saw me, and I said, oh, okay, I'm on to something, because people want to hear more. People want to know what are my thoughts on certain topics? What are my thoughts on, you know, pop culture? You know, what are my thoughts on, you know, certain political things? What's my take? And once I started seeing people just wanted to know what I feel about certain things, I was like, okay, this is the sweet spot for an artist to create, because now you can just create, you know, without any like limitations. You could just like, all right, man, let me just be myself, and I'm able to earn a living being yourself. Is like, that's really the sweet spot of art. Like when you could just pay your bills and you get to be yourself, there's no better feeling. And so when I saw that happen year 7, year 8, year 9, uh that's when I was like, okay, let's just lean into this, and then the rest was history, you know.
Yeah. You coming up in the DC scene, that's, I can't put my finger on DC. That's, it's one
Right,
of those
right.
things, like it's such, it's, because it's close to 3 or 4 different things, and then it's such a big, focal point of the country always. And even when I think of the
Yeah,
music that came out of there, you've got Dave Grohl and Tori
yeah.
Amos, but that also doesn't make sense to the landscape. Like,
Yeah.
How much, what is DC, and how much of DC being what it is, like, helped you become what you are?
Well, it's a transient city. We have a lot of rich history and art and comedy. To name a few names: Patton Oswalt, Dave Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, Martin Lawrence, Tommy Davidson. These are all names that came out of the DC area, and it's yeah, it shaped who I am. I mean, you have it's one of the most educated cities in the country, mainly because of like the amount of colleges in like a per mile, you have GW, Georgetown, Howard University, American University, and these are all within like 5 miles of like all the comedy clubs. So, it's a city where they force you to learn how to write. You have to write articulate jokes to connect with the audience, and then you have like your local, the local people who grew up in the area, where it's like they force you to have a little bit of edge and force you to connect with like what's going on in the city. And so it was like the perfect balance, man. Like just being from here, being able to get exposure to people who move here from other parts of the country and are who are also very educated. So when I moved to cities like LA, a lot of my writing held up,
Mhm.
and that's what really was a testament to your initial scene where you came up in. So that's really, I think a lot of comedy scenes take pride in like the writing and who came up where, and that's like, oh, that's a Chicago comic or that's a New York comic. And for DC, we have our own voice too.
Yeah. So the other side of you, and you mentioned it earlier, is that crowd work, though, and you've become really known for that. You are really good at that. And that is such a trust fall for anybody, because that's hands off the wheel moment, right? Like, you've
Yeah.
like, what is the art of crowd work, if you can distill it?
So sure, no, crowd work is it's comedy's version of freestyling. Like in rap, you have your freestyle artists. I grew up watching, uh, MTV Unplugged or like BET, like Big Tigger in the Basement, where people would, they had to have ciphers and stuff like that. And so I talk about it a little bit in the special where roasting is a big part of our culture, where, a lot of my comedy is inspired from the bus stop as a young kid, where we're waiting for the school bus and we're all just kind of making fun of each other's outfit to pass the time. And it was almost like sport, And I don't say it in my special, but I've said it in a few other shows. I wasn't even the funniest kid at my bus stop. I was like the third funniest, but I was the only one with the foresight to Google open mics in DC. And it's I'm just a product of my environment, and that's why I think the city gravitate towards me. I think that's why a lot of cities have embraced me, because I just I kind of just share my story. I'm authentic, and I think that in 2024 landscape, just being authentic and being an original voice still takes you a long way in any art form. So I think that's what we're people are hungry for still.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a cliche term when you're talking about that, when you're talking about like there's so much noise out there, being a real authentic voice. Like that's almost, but it's so, but it's like it's weird that it's true, I guess. I don't know why I feel like
Well,
that.
if you study art, if you study like music or comedy, just look at the artist who just has the longest career. It's people who are able to, they develop their voice, they're authentic, and like there's a consistency, that you don't lose. And I think your fans, they want something new, but they want something that feels the same at the same time, right? And so it's like, how do you give them that? And it's like, well, just kind of like find your voice and then just stay true to stay authentic. And I think you never have to worry about losing your fans because you're just being yourself.
Yeah. Well, seeing the stuff you do, and we're talking about crowd work, and of course, it's the kissing that started happening. Like, when did that? So, for anybody who doesn't know, of course, you will regularly find two single people and talk them into kissing each other on stage in front of everyone.
Well, yeah, because of the way Instagram is formatted, where sometimes you get up to 90 seconds, I kind of speed cut to the kissing, but there is some there's a process to it. There's some vetting. There's obviously consent. But yeah, we do find some people who are single. It's evolved, right? Like, if you see a lot of crowd work online, it's a lot of the typical formats like, what's your name? What do you do? Where are you from? And, I just wanted to take it up a notch further, right? And set myself apart from the other comics doing the same thing. And I said, well, like, let's see if I could bring you on stage and then find someone who's compatible with you. And then once I find that compatibility, one thing leads to another, and now the audience gets involved. They start chanting, "Kiss" in Spanish, which is beso, and it becomes like a whole thing where it's like, it's a very live and entertaining show, and yeah, I just take a lot of pride in people just enjoying it, having fun, and um, trying to find their match in 2024 at my show.
Do you find that they start performing when they're up there?
I think it's so interesting to see personalities come out in front of a packed room, you know. But my job as the MC, like, as the comic, is to kind of like diffuse any tension and try to make them feel as comfortable as not, and let them remind them that, obviously, like, this is totally up to you, the woman, to choose who you want to be compatible, who you want to go with. And typically that's why it works out, because they get to choose, everyone gets to choose who they want. And yeah, there's a lot. I think the live element of it, like the audience being so like into it, gives it more of a energy and momentum to
Yeah.
to finding your match.
Yeah. Now, on the other side, making the audience feel as comfortable as possible, you also have figured out the art of the dark joke as well. And
Yeah.
and you lay it out. I'm talking about in the special, at least you lay
Yes.
it out, you give everybody fair warning, and then you lay into it. Like I'll ask in this similar way, how much of that is the trust fall? Because especially as you're saying in the social media world, when things can be taken with this much context.
Right. It's, you got to pick your moments. And I put that joke specifically in my special at the end of it, because by that time, hopefully, you get a feel for my intentions, you get a feel for my voice, my authenticity, and I'm not just saying words to win people over. It's just me just sharing my story, and it's placed strategically towards the end because yeah, it's kind of like, it's not for everyone, but at the same time, it's a part of my story where I talk about my mom and my father, my upbringing, and that type of subject matter, I feel like, separates me from a lot of other comics that don't want to touch on those type of things. And I think that's why I'm able to build my audience
Hmm.
the way I do, is because I'm not scared to go certain places uh, and sharing my story.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
big story. I mean, again, they'll see it on there. Talk about the blended culture, Iranian father, Bolivian mother. I feel like that just lends itself, if you want to so much comedy in itself. Like I feel like you were gifted something with this.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely gifted something, whether it's trauma or comedy, or both. It's yeah, I'm just happy to share the story and find the fun in it. And I think that's what was the gift, is just like learning how to make light of any type of situation, whether it's awkward or tense. And yeah, I think we could all use more levity and laughter at this stage of our lives.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate what you're doing out there. It's a great special. I'm transcending. I'm really looking forward to what you've just teased with whatever comes next. So,
Thank you, man. No, I'm gonna definitely send you that individually, like, so you can take a look at the new thing that's coming out. Was filmed at the comedy club that I own in Washington D.C. called Room 808. I opened it 3 years ago. It's a 56 seater, but to just see me, it's gonna be called Back in the Gym. It's just me running new material, mixed with some crowd work, but the contrast between me and a theater over 1,200 people in a 50 seater is so cool, because the theater is a big production. There's a lot of cameras. It's the whole city's coming out, but really, to me, the best art is seeing when you're making it, like when it's like right in front of you with the notebook. And I can't wait to show the audience how I create, and sharing a joke when it's first formed. It's kind of like a fruit. I think, like, it's the most freshest, and that's probably like my biggest takeaway with my new special, Transcending. It's like, I'm so proud of it, but these are jokes written in 2018 and 19. So the new jokes I'm putting out is from 2024. So I'm just so excited for people to see like the brand new jokes. I've never done this before. Like, I've never put out jokes a month after writing it, but again, because of the new landscape, I think this is where we're at as like content, driven society now. Like you got to put stuff out faster, and I think it's really cool. And it's a lot of pressure to write something that fast and put it out. But like, I just want people to consume something that when it's ready to watch. So I'll send that to you over once it's edited and everything.
I can't wait. Please do. I look forward to watching. And we'll see you out there on the road. It sounds like you're going to be out there forever this year. So
Yes.
congrats on all the success, Martin. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Thank you, Kyle. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right, man. And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.